join with thousands of our partners across the nation and pray for America. All you have to do is go to prayforamerica.com or text the word pray to 71777, or always give us a call at 1-800-700-7000 and let us know that you'll be praying for our country. When you do, we're actually going to send you something in return. This is our Pray for America flag. Here it is. There we go. We can wave it. You can sing God Bless the USA. You can put it on your desk, put it in your car, whatever you want. You not only get this, but you also get a Pray for America window cling you can put on your car windows wherever you want. So make sure you please join us in prayer for our nation. We definitely need it. We've got an election coming up. We need your prayers. Give us a call, 1-800-700-7000, or go to prayforamerica.com or text the word pray to 71777 if you want this. All right, Andrew.
Hey, God bless the USA.
Yes.
All right, this next story is incredible. It's impossible to know how many people walked right by Richard. He'd been on the streets of East L.A. for months. Looked like just another homeless addict. No one gave him a second thought until a real-life guardian angel felt God telling her to help.
I could tell that this is someone who'd been on the streets for many months. He'd obviously had an injury. And I thought, what is he doing out here? You know, he's so young, and there must be more to his story.
Jody Lee Patterson was in her car when she noticed a young man who she thought was homeless, limping down the sidewalk wearing a thin coat and no shoes. East Los Angeles was in the middle of a harsh winter, and she was concerned for him.
I just looked at him, my heart broke, and the Lord said, help him. In my head, I was thinking, oh, this could be dangerous, you know, but I couldn't leave him there. I just couldn't. So I drove over with my car and rolled my window down, and I said, can I help you? Are you hungry? Let me take you to get something to eat. He'd said to me, what? You're helping me? I can't believe this.
While he ate, she asked him about his situation, but his responses were muddled, and it became clear that he had a mental disorder. He didn't have an ID, and the only thing she could get from him was his name, Richard.
There was sort of a childlike expression there. I felt the Lord telling me, help him. And so I just went with that.
Jody Lee took Richard to a motel after buying him some warm clothes and shoes. The next day, she returned to drive him to the hospital. After 13 hours of waiting, Richard was admitted and found to be suffering from exhaustion, a strained leg muscle, and cracked feet from walking the streets barefoot. The doctor who examined him had some pointed questions for Jody Lee.
And he said, well, who are you? Why are you with this young man? And I said, well, I'm just a friend trying to help. I think they couldn't believe that somebody would do that, to help somebody to that extent. And I could see that they were just passing him off as another crazy drug addict, which he wasn't, of course. That emboldened me more to help him. And I had this feeling, I don't know, is he really homeless? So that sent me on a quest to go home and find out more about this person.
Before Jody Lee left, Richard gave her a last name, Salvatierra. She spent the next 2 days researching the name until finally she found something. A Facebook post from someone looking for their brother who'd gone missing several months before. Jody Lee called the local police station to verify the information. It was then that she realized it would actually be up to her and God to get Richard back to his family.
A woman answered, but she said, why are you interested in this? Like, what is this? This is not your business. And she wouldn't help me. I was angry. I'm like, how is this system so broken that when you try to help someone, that everything is against you? I felt real discouraged, and I thought, well, I'm gonna push forward. God's gonna do it. He's gonna help me.
Jody Lee called the station again the next day and spoke with a different officer. This time, she got an answer. He confirmed that there was a missing person by that name and gave her the phone number of Richard's sister, Erica. Jody Lee made the call.
I said, I found your brother. And she said, what? I said, I found Richard. And she said, I can't believe that. I said, don't worry, he's doing really well. But can I ask you something before I tell you more? I said, were you praying for him? And she said, yes. We were all praying for him for 4 months. And I was like, I know, I just felt that.
I was just like in tears and excited. I just was so emotional because you think the worst, but then you just also want to be so thankful, you know, to be able to see him again.
Richard and Erica were reunited at the hospital.
I was standing outside the room. I didn't want to interrupt that process. I just watched. And it was beautiful. It was an incredible moment.
Jody Lee learned from Erica that Richard is 26 years old and has a disability due to brain trauma from his youth, which causes schizophrenia. He'd wandered out of the apartment complex where he was staying with his uncle, and they'd been searching for him ever since. Both Erica and Richard are grateful to Jody Lee for her generous heart.
She was the answer to a lot of our prayers. She's a blessing, and Richard's real life guardian angel.
It made me happy. It made my day because I didn't have anything. I left here on accident. I was like, what do I do? I want to say thanks a lot, Jody, for helping me.
Jody Lee has maintained her friendship with Richard and his family, even sharing the love of Jesus with him. She gives God all the glory for Richard's safe return and inspiring her to reach out.
All it took was one person to believe in him and realize this, you know, that he wasn't what everyone thought, that he was actually somebody very special. I feel really honored that God would use me. I'm just a very regular person. And if God can use me, God can use anybody.
Ashley, isn't it interesting to hear the family tell Jody Lee, we've been praying for him for months.
Yeah.
And the answer to their prayer came from Jody Lee's obedience.
Yeah.
And of course it's risky and we've got to be very careful.
Right, use wisdom.
We've all driven by or walked by people in the streets and I want to help, should I help? Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. We have to be very cautious and protect ourselves. But in this case, Jody Lee felt a prompting from the Spirit and responded, and it changed the family's life.
It's just absolutely beautiful. And I love what Jody said, you know, if God can use me, surely he can use you. And he does he wants to use all of us in so many amazing, unique ways, again, to help others. God has called us to be a blessing to others.
And it's interesting that, you know, when we drive past people on the streets, walk past them, whatever, I mean, everyone has a story. I remember just quickly when I was a sports reporter for CBN, I produced a story on a gentleman named J.R. Richard. He was an incredibly talented, very successful pitcher for the Houston Astros in the late 70s, early 80s, dominant. 100-mile-an-hour fastball, the whole bit.
Wow.
But through a series of events, health concerns, and things that happened to him, he wound up out of baseball on the streets. And for years, Houston Astro fans would drive by this corner intersection and see this gentleman on the streets and didn't even know it was him.
Wow. Wow.
I mean, here he is a couple blocks from the stadium where he was so dominant. And then it was JR on the streets, and eventually he got his life back together. Amazing testimony. He's now deceased, but you never know who's there and why and what circumstances have brought him there. So, as Ashley said, we've seen today how people have responded to God's call to help others, but also I think it elicits compassion in our hearts for people too.
Absolutely. I was going to say, it's so easy for us to just turn away from the people, the individuals that we see on the streets. Again, like Andrew said, use wisdom, use discernment and caution, keep ourselves and families safe. But every person is an image bearer of God. And I think that that's just such a good reminder for us today. Like, remember that every single person was made in the image of Christ. Whether they know Christ or not, they are still made in the image of God. And so therefore, it is our responsibility and our blessing to treat them as such. So
really inspiring stuff today.
Yeah, absolutely.
I want to thank you for joining us, and we leave you these words from Hebrews 13, verse 16. And don't forget to do good and to share with those in need. These are the sacrifices that please God. Thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you next time on 700 Club Interactive.
See you guys. God bless you.
Bye.